Hello and welcome. In this video, I wanted to share start to finish the process of making this doodle art piece. Since I knew I was going to be coloring in this piece, I wanted to use a waterproof ink. So I used Speedball Super Black India ink, which is waterproof. And the nib I'm using here is a Hunt 512. I had a lot of fun using a dip pen in a previous doodle, which is why I wanted to keep using a dip pen for this doodle as well. So I'm starting off this video at normal speed, and later on this video will speed up to 16 times normal speed. As I often do, I'm using an A5 sized Bristol board paper by Winsor Newton. So it's very dense and very smooth, and it's great to work with for doodling in black. The contrast is really strong and the surface is very smooth, so the pen glides on the paper really nicely. When I start off a doodle, it takes me a while to get into the flow of it. The great thing about doodling, though, is that there's no starting point or ending point. Wherever you start is going to be obscured in the whole doodle itself. So that's why I don't really tend to worry about my first mark. And I know that in a couple of minutes, I'll feel a bit more relaxed and the doodle will flow a lot better. And maybe I'll have some cooler ideas to incorporate into the doodle. And if not, that's okay. It's important for me to make, and it's okay that not everything I make is amazing. That's to be expected, and I'm just happy that I can have that satisfaction and enjoyment of making and not worrying about the end result. I also really enjoy the tactile experience of working with the dip pen, and I'm really glad that I zoomed in a little bit with the camera so you can really see how the dip pen allows me to create thicker and thinner lines. Actually, when I was coloring in this doodle, I think some of the lines were a little bit too thin and it was hard for me to not go outside the lines when I was coloring in, but that's okay. I learned something from the process. This ink is actually a little bit too watery for my preference. The ink I used last time was a calligraphy ink, and that ink was a lot more gummy, so it was more viscous. And this ink is more watery, so it just feels like I have a little bit less control over it, and it feels like the ink spills out of the nib a little bit too easily. I could work with it pretty well, but I think I would have preferred to use the calligraphy ink. The thing though with the calligraphy ink is that it's not waterproof. That would mean that it might smear, but I remember using calligraphy ink and coloring it in with markers like this and the ink didn't smear. On the other hand, I've colored in technical pen doodles and these markers actually smeared the ink on the page. So I guess it's a trial and error sort of thing. But in this case, the ink didn't smear at all, and it dried very nice and flat on the paper. Overall, as the ink name suggests, it is super black. Wherever I laid down a block of ink, the color is very uniform, very black, and it looks really great. I wanted to use a limited number of markers. I didn't want to go overboard with the colors. I also wanted to leave some white in the doodle. This isn't the first time that I'm painting in this style, so I'll have a future video showing you some of my older doodles which I colored in this style. I wanted to have a nice balance of the different colors. The markers I'm using are water-based. They're Faber Castell PITT markers. When I just started off doodling, these were the markers that I got. They come in a wide range of colors and they have a brush tip. The brush tip of these markers tends to wear out pretty fast, so they don't stay very pointy, but they're still a good choice, and they seem to be holding up pretty nicely in storage. They haven't dried out, although I've kept them stored up for quite a few months. Overall, this doodle took me about an hour and a half to do, start to finish, and I really enjoyed making it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, share on social media, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this doodle and if you have any questions or requests for future videos, and I will see you next time.